Hey, what's going on guys, it's Buggas here and welcome back to another video. And today, we are going to be continuing our review series, this time with Walking with Beasts. Okay, I literally have no idea what else I should say, so you know what, let's just get on to it. Oh wait, I also forgot, spoilers, here's your spoiler warning. If you haven't watched it, watch it, it's good. Like Walking with Dinosaurs and pretty much the rest of the series. Okay, now we can get on with it. Walking with Beasts is the second installment of the Walking with series, and this time it focuses on life after the dinosaurs, or the Cenozoic period if you're so inclined. Once again, we get 6 episodes, each focusing on a different time period, and Kenneth Branagh returns as the narrator. The major difference this time is that each episode tells more of a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to Walking with Dinosaurs, which felt like a more standard nature documentary. Not saying that's a bad thing, it's just something different, and I'll give my opinions on it later on. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to each individual episode. Starting with New Dawn, I'm noticing a theme here. We get a brief view of the mammals during the time of the dinosaurs before the KT event. Which, can I just point out the fact that we get to see the meteorite impact here, but not in Walking with Dinosaurs? Like, what? Anyways, we then get an introduction to the series and where it will take us, before sending us back to 49 million years ago, where we witness a day in the life of a family of Leptictidians, as they try to survive. We also get to see the other animals within this ecosystem, including a primitive horse named Propalotherium, alongside an early nocturnal solitary primate called Gardenosia. Hunting these creatures are a giant predatory bird called Castornis, which we witness a hunt with as it kills a Propalotherium, and Ambulocetus, an early ancestor of whales. This episode does a good job in showing how dangerous and twisted this world is, with volcanic gases releasing from a lake that by the end of the episode suffocates the animals after an earthquake releases a large amount of carbon dioxide. Also, much like New Blood, this episode also has a disturbing scene of its own, and if in New Blood that was the Cynodon scene eating their babies, in this it is ants eating a baby Gastornis as it hatches, which I gotta say is probably single-handedly the most disturbing thing and skin-crawling thing I've ever seen, and I truly apologize for scarring you for life. This episode was overall kinda slow, but it does help immerse us into this weird world and also perfectly sets the tone, and the episode ends with a shot of a dead Ambulocetus as it sets up the gateway for the giant whales it will evolve to in the next episode. Whale Killer takes us on a journey of a mother Basilosaurus searching for food to feed her and her unborn offspring. This episode has a massive emphasis on climate change and how drastically it can affect the environment, and it being the central event that causes the Basilosaurus to move from her regular feeding grounds in the open ocean to shallower mangroves where her size makes it difficult to hunt. In these mangroves, we see Apidium, with one of them being eaten by a shark, and Moatherium, a mammal that acts like a hippo but is actually related to elephants. And we see the Basilosaurus trying to hunt an individual but ends up unsuccessful. Later on, we see a pod of Dorodons and their young, smaller species of whales that the Basilosaurus successfully feeds upon near the end of the episode, in an ensuing bloodbath. We also see how climate change has affected the land animals, with the herd of Brontosaurs losing their calves due to the drought, and Androsarchus, a wolf-like animal that is more related to sheep, that scavenges on a dead Brontosaur calf as the mother tries to defend it, despite it being already dead. The episode ends with the mother Basilosaurus swimming alongside her calf, and while this appears to be a happy ending, the narration tells us how climate change will result in the extinction of 20% of life, including the Basilosaurus. And despite it ending on a somewhat depressing note, it does show nature in its truest form, and if anything, does focus on a major issue we're dealing with right now. You know, with global warming and all that. Alright, before I continue, please ignore the fact that there are subtitles. I couldn't find a version without them, okay? Anyways, Land of Giants begins at night with a mother Indricathera as she gives birth, while a pair of hyenas try to get the calf. Throughout this episode, we will follow the life of this calf as he grows up and experiences the hardships of life. We also get introduced to other weird creatures, including a Calicothera, which gets hunted by a hyenodon, a small bear dog, and Entelodon. ugly looking pig like creatures, which the episode calls the bully of the plains, which I would say is aptly named. By the end of the episode, the calf is forced to go on his own as his mother drives him off, as she has another baby to take care of. And I like how the story comes full circle, as in the beginning we see another calf that ends up being an almost exact image of our calf's future. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about the episode. It's just a good all-round episode. Next of kin begins with the death of the lead female in a clan of Australopithecus, an ape that walks upright, signifying the first emergence of humans. We follow this small clan as they are forced out of their territory by a rival clan and face the dangers from other animals like Dinotherium, an elephant as tall as a giraffe that has downward-facing tusks, and Dinofelis, an early saber-toothed cat that preys on the Australopithecus. By the end, the clan fended off a hungry Dinofelis from eating a youngster named Blue by throwing rocks at the cat, further showing their eventual lead up to man with the use of tools. Out of all the episodes, I have the most problems with this one. The Australopithecus model looks a little too fake. The texture is very unconvincing, and I understand that hair is something very hard to do, but still, especially when comparing it to its animatronic, which doesn't look anything like the CGI model. This episode is the first to give its characters names. There's Gray, the leader of the clan, who later gets overthrown by another male named Hercules, and Blue, a youngster whose mother is the individual who died in the beginning of the episode. As a whole, the episode was eh. Even as a kid, I never really enjoyed it. And I know this is a personal preference, but this is really the only entry that I rarely rewatch. But personal biases aside, it's still a pretty okay episode. Sabretooth, as the name very clearly states, focuses on the famous Sabretooth cats, or Smilodon if you're so inclined. We specifically follow a clan led by a male named Halftooth, which you could probably tell why he's named that. The beginning of the episode sees two rival brothers taking over Halftooth's clan, and we see their takeover as they kill Halftooth's cubs and breed with the females. We also see the clan hunting a herd of Macrauchenia as some forest raucous, also known as terrorbirds, win in the background as the clan eats their fill before scavenging. Meanwhile, we also see how Halftooth is doing after the takeover. We see a failed hunt attempt on a male Macrauchenia due to a giant sloth named Megatherium, but eventually he does manage to steal a kill from a terrorbird. At the end of the episode, after an encounter with a Megatherium kills one of the brothers, Halftooth challenges the remaining brother and, after a brief yet brutal battle, successfully takes back his clan. The episode clearly knows how famous saber-toothed cats are, and it showcases them in all their glory. And yes, I do realize that the story is basically The Lion King, but hey, it's an entertaining story and its simplicity and familiarity does help you get immersed into the narrative. Although, can I just point out how freaky the saber-toothed cub's model is? Like, its eyes are so big, they look like goblins. But aside from that creepy stare, it was probably the best episode in Walking with Peace. At least, in my opinion. Mammoth Journey takes us on a, you guessed it, journey of a mammoth herd as they migrate around Europe in the Ice Age. Also, once again, ignore the fact that there are subtitles, please. The episode starts with a female from the herd falling into an icy lake as the herd could only watch as she is trapped. We then get to see the mammoths living in the grassy plains during the summer alongside other animals, including humans. The mammoths then head south where a pair of male Megalosaurus fight before one of them gets hunted by the humans. We see the hardships of the migration as a calf and his mother struggles to keep up with the herd as a cave lion stalks them. We also see another species of human, the Neanderthals, as one of them had a brief yet dangerous encounter with a woolly rhino. The mammoths, after a brief period of time in the south, head back north where at night a clan of Neanderthals hunt down the mammoths by using fire to force them off a cliff to their deaths. Much like Walking with Dinosaurs, the episode ends with a transition to modern day. This time in a museum where we see the bones of the creatures we've seen throughout the series and leaves us with a lesson that no species lasts forever. This episode, unfortunately, much like Death of a Dynasty, didn't really do it for me as a series finale, but for a different reason. Death of a Dynasty was just disappointing for me, while Mama Juni just felt a bit too tame for the series finale. But then again, that is a personal preference, and as I've said before, no episode in this entire series is bad. Some of them just might not be as equal as some others. In conclusion, I do think that Walking with Beasts is an improvement on Walking with Dinosaurs, particularly in the narrative department. Like I said, since the series opted to tell more of a complete story, it helps the viewers feel more invested, and they also managed to put these creatures in interesting scenarios. That I felt was something that Walking with Dinosaurs didn't really do, and I like that aspect of the series because you always felt like something was happening and something was always progressing. However, I do have to say, upon rewatching it with less intense nostalgia goggles, it wasn't as good as I remember, and I know now it sounds like I didn't enjoy it, which is completely wrong. I loved rewatching it, but I think I might have placed my expectations a bit too high. But overall, I still stand that this is an improvement upon the previous entry, and despite what I literally just said, it was still fun to rewatch. And if anything, I think it shows that, as time passes, our preferences change. Anyways, this series is fantastic and worth revisiting. I mean, who knows? You might even have a revelation as I did. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. The next entry in this review series is going to be Walking with Monsters, which I think should come out 2 weeks from now. Because, I don't, these take a lot of work, and I'm not too keen on doing them too often because that would basically mean I'm working throughout the entire week. But, yeah, anyways, I'll see you in the next video, I guess. Bye.